NBC's Steve Kornacki is at the big board with all of the things that we need to know about this poll. And NBC News' Mike Bamley is in Las Vegas, where he's been following President Biden. So, Steve, I have to come to you and this board. It's pretty brutal when you look at this poll. So tell us a little bit about these numbers.
Yeah, I mean, from the president's standpoint, certainly it's concerning to be behind Donald Trump at all, certainly by 5 points. That's the largest lead Trump's ever had over Biden in our polling. And I think what's more concerning from Biden's standpoint would probably be the overall trajectory of this. And I'm talking over the course of years, because we started polling Biden-Trump matchups back in October of 2019. Our very first poll back then had Biden ahead of Trump by 9 points. And you could see all the way, 12 polls in the 2020 election cycle that we took, Biden led in every single one of them. It never got closer than 6. The lead we tracked as high as 14 for Joe Biden. Of course, Biden ended up winning the popular vote by about 4.5 points. That was 2019. That was 2020. Now, this is our fourth poll this cycle. Starting, last June, we had Biden ahead by 4. That already was closer than any poll from 2020. And then from there, it went to a tie in the fall. It went to a slight Trump lead in November. And now, as you say, a Trump lead of 5 points. So not only is the entire political and polling atmosphere very different from what we saw in 2019 and 2020, even within that, there's a trend here that's developing in our poll where the news is getting worse for Biden, from a 4-point lead to a 5-point deficit now over the matter of 9 months or so. The approval rating has a lot to do with that. You mentioned 37%, the lowest we've ever recorded Biden at in our poll, the lowest any president's clocked in at since the end days of the George W. Bush administration back in 07 and 08. And then there's this. This is previous incumbents seeking re-election like Biden is now. Where were they in our poll at this same point, at the start of their re-election year? And you could see a big difference. George W. Bush, 54% approval. He won re-election in 04. Barack Obama, 49, won re-election. Trump was at 46 at the start of 2020, lost re-election. And here's Biden, 9 points under where Trump was. The only two incumbents seeking re-election who have a number this low or even lower. You got to go back to George Bush Sr. in 92, Jimmy Carter in 1980. Those are not good precedents if you're the Biden White House. And if you just look at this by issues, ask folks what's the most important to them. On the economy, Trump with a 22-point edge over Biden. On securing the border, a 35-point edge. Right now, Trump over Biden on that. And then there's this. The necessary mental and physical health to be president. We were checking this a lot in 2020. It was basically a wash back then. 41 said Trump had it, 38 said Biden. Look at this now. 46% say Trump has the necessary mental, physical health. Only half that number for Joe Biden. And finally, I think this may be the most concerning of all for Biden. It's the simple question of competency and effectiveness, asking which candidate has the competency and effectiveness to be president. In 2020, this is what Biden kind of ran on. And he led Trump when we asked this question in 2020 by almost 10 points. Now Trump has an advantage in our poll of 16 points. Just a complete reversal on that basic question of competency.
And, Steve, the more you talk, the worse it seemed to get for President Biden. That being said, is there any news in here that would be good things that President Biden could point to?
Yeah, there are a couple things. I mean, there's the economy just in terms of people's perceptions of where the economy is going. We have some indications that may be getting less negative, maybe getting more positive. The Biden folks certainly hoping that there'll be a drumbeat of positive economic news this year, and that at some point that'll really attach itself to his approval rating, tick him up there and tick him up in the head-to-head with Trump. And then there's also this. Look at some of the weaknesses Biden has in our poll right now. Young voters, they were a big part of his coalition in 2020. We got a 42-42 tie, Biden and Trump. That's not good news for Biden. But the real issue here is there's a lack of enthusiasm and enthusiasm just to vote at all among this age group in our poll. The Biden folks are hoping that as the election nears, that interest level will rise. And while the young voters do not have generally favorable views of Biden, they also don't have favorable views of Trump. So the Biden folks hope that as young voters get more engaged in this, they'll ultimately decide basically they more want to vote against Trump than they want to vote against Biden. They see an opportunity for growth there. You also look here, the Hispanic vote, basically even. Trump ahead by 1 point. That's something Republicans have been talking up the possibility of. They've got to like that. Among African Americans, this is a solid lead for Joe Biden, 16%. But Democrats want to do better than that. They want to keep Trump in single digits here. They want to get this Biden number up, about 10, 15 points further from where it is. So that's where they would see opportunities for growth sort of demographically.
Well, Steve, always great to see you at the big board. Thank you so much.
You got it.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.